The definition of gambling is trading without journaling. It's repeating the same mistakes with more confidence. Einstein famously said, insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. It's the exact same concept in here. If you trade the same way, you repeat the same mistakes, you are going to get the same results. Which means until you change, your trading results will not change. Okay? So I believe that journaling is important, not for your present self. You don't journal for today. You journal for your future version of yourself. Right? The goal here with journaling is to capture truth while it's fresh, not after you rationalize it. It's to capture truth so that later you can introspect on truth and you can think about how you can improve your existing strategy to make it even better. How you can improve yourself, your technical edge, your mental edge. And to me, like, journaling is just how you separate luck from skill. Because a green trade, a winning trade, can be bad execution, right? Could just be you got lucky and you won the trade. And similarly, a red trade, a losing trade, could be a good trade because you executed your trade plan flawlessly in that trade. Which also means that if you do not journal your trades, you will never ever know the difference. It is your duty to journal your trades not for today, but for your future self. So you can look back, see the progress you have made, and thank you for not wasting years repeating the same mistakes. And we all know that the secret to profitability is to become more disciplined, right? But what does that mean? To become more disciplined, what it essentially means is that you need to overcome the resistance that stops you from doing the hard, boring, repetitive tasks that are required to succeed. Things like journaling, reviewing, refining, following your trade plan. And the thing is, you can do all of that by increasing reps until you adapt, or you can just reduce friction. And that's what edge flow does. It lowers the resistance to the boring, repetitive tasks that actually make you profitable. Okay, so let me show you how to actually use the trading journal inside Edgeflow to journal and review your trades. So after you have closed a position itself, right, you can just go and journal that trade by going to your trading journal function in Edgeflow. So over here, this is where every single trade that you have closed, every single position that you have closed will appear over here, right? They get auto-imported immediately right after you exit a trade. And you can also add a manual trade entry if you want to do so, right? Like this is where you, let's say you take a trade outside of this trading account and you want to document it on your Edgeflow account, you could just add a manual trade and just fill in the details in here, right? The details about the trade. And then once you do so, the manual trade will appear here, right? Just to give you an example of a manual trade, ta-da, right? Manual trade, as simple as that. So when it comes to journaling, trust me, nobody likes journaling, all right? Nobody likes journaling. The only difference between professional traders and amateur traders is that they do the things that they don't like to do anyways because they know that it helps them in the long term, right? So my rule, my non-negotiable is I journal right after I exit a trade. Okay, you want to make this a habit because that's the only way this thing can feel fun. That's the only way you can reduce the amount of willpower needed to do this mundane task, is to make it a habit. So journal right after you exit the trade, right? For example, I come in here, I trade. Today I lost $2,000. Cool. Press this button right here, view in journal, straight away go and journal the trade itself, right? Like once again, when you build it into a habit, now you are doing it every single day. Okay, so if you can't do it immediately because like let's say you are still trading, you still want to continue trading, then what you want to do is to do it at the end of the trading session, at the end of the trading day. But you must get it done no matter what, within the same day, okay? Because this is where your emotions are still fresh. You just got out of the trade, you kind of understand the trade ideal, and you can like really just document the reality of the trade itself. It hits different if you journal right now compared to if you journal the trade a few days later, right? So try to do it as soon as humanly possible and just do more reps, right? Because the more reps you do, the more automatic it becomes and the more easier it is for you to journal in the future. And to me, what I like to do is to, once again, like I said, reduce the friction that is needed to journal, right? So I like to get into a flow state. And I get into a flow state by putting my headphones on and also having like a green tea right by my side and just start like chipping away, right? Just listening to some productivity bits, you know what I'm saying? And then like just coming in here and just start journaling. All right, so this is where, like I said, if you do it fast, it takes only 5 minutes and it can save you thousands of dollars by preventing repeated mistakes. So after you're done trading for the day, first thing you want to do is go to trading journal and then click the day that you're on and glance at the daily stats first, right? This just gives you quick context at a high level. And this is where you can see your P&L for all the closed positions of the day, how many trades you have taken, what is your win rate like, did you follow your trading plan? Did you violate any guardrails? If so, it will be documented right here. Did you completed your pre-market routine? And how many trades you have already journaled so far, right? So if you come here, you will notice there's like this gray dot beside each trade itself. What it pretty much means is that the journal is missing, right? That means you haven't started journaling the trade itself. So once you start journaling the trade, it will look something like this. You can see the gray dot just disappeared, right? So this kind of indicate, okay, have you journaled for the day or not, right? If you're able to journal all the trades that you have taken, then this thing will turn into complete. Now, let's begin the journaling process, right? So let's click on this trade itself. And what you want to do is to scan from left to right. Okay, because the left side, what we have over here is all your trading data, which is once again automatically imported from your trading broker. This is where you can see on P&L, what instrument do you trade, what was the direction, what lot size do you use, what date was this on, like what session was this trade in, what was the trade duration, right? Whether it's 5 minutes, 1 hour, 45 minutes, and what is the entry price, and what is the take profit, stop loss, so on and so forth, and what is your risk and reward in terms of R multiple, and what was the fees that cost you in this trade itself. Okay, so on the left hand side, just review the trading data, see whether it's correct or not, and then on the right hand side, this is where you have the space, you have the time to actually introspect on the trade idea itself. Okay, introspect on the trade that have just been closed. So when you start journaling, the first thing you want to do is to actually add your chart screenshots, right? So you have context over the trade itself. So on the trading panel itself, you can just come in here and just press download image. And then once you download image, you can just come back here to the journal, and then you can just upload the image just by dragging and dropping into any one of these boxes right here. But you basically just want to upload a chart screenshot for the higher time frame, a medium time frame, and a lower time frame. The higher time frame, this gives you context as to like why this trend direction, you know, what was the initial bias, what was the structure like, what was the key levels. And then the medium time frame could answer the next question, why this location, why did I enter this supply and demand zone or flip zone, or like where was the available liquidity. And then the lower time frame, this is where you can see your entry trigger, right? What was the entry confirmation that triggered, that appeared in the market that causes you to enter for the trade itself. Okay, so the reason why we actually put these chart screenshots in here for you is so that we can refresh your memory, right? To just remind you of what happened a few hours ago, a few minutes ago, when you were in the position itself. And once you visually see the trade that you just exited, you can revisit your thought process accurately instead of rewriting history, right? Because we all know how inaccurate memory is, right? So it's important that you actually do this. And here's a tip for you, right? If you press this focus mode over here, what you essentially go is literally focus mode, where we literally hide all the other details like this and this. So all you can do is to just like journal, right? Journal manually while reviewing the chart screenshots here, right? So this is a cool little tip that you can try out if you want. But anyways, this is where you can start tagging your trades, right? So once again, go from top to bottom, right? Did you follow a trading plan? Yes or no? You can just check off this box right here and then go and tag which plan did you actually follow based on your edge, right? So by default, it will always be the plan, the trading plan, the edge that you have set as active in the edge feature itself, right? But yeah, you can go and select whatever trading plan that you have followed in this case, and then type in the entry confluences, right? So how this works is that it's essentially tags, right? It's like a tag system. So just list down your entry confluences, right? So let's say in this case, we got a market shift, okay? Just type in, press enter, and it will be tagged right here. And then it'll be saved over here as a drop down so that you can tag it in the future. Yeah, so you type in your entry confluences over here. Just pick the 2 to 5 confluences that actually cause you to take the trade itself. You don't have to overtag, right? You don't have to pick 10 things because you're just going to be lying to yourself. Just like really just enter the entry confluences right there. And then next up, you got the trade management, right? This is where you can once again, write down how you manage the open position, right? Did you hold it all the way to your take profit? Or like, did you take partial profits? If so, where do you place your partial profit at? If you move your stop loss, how did you move your stop loss, so on and so forth? And then once done, you can go and reflect on the trade itself and think about what were the mistakes that were committed on this trade. Whether that's a win or a loss, there will always be some form of mistakes. There will always be more room for like improvement, right? So if there's a mistake, just go and tag it right here, right? Maybe I did not wait for price to mitigate my point of interest, right? Whatever mistake that you have, just put it in. If you don't have any mistakes, you are flawless, then yeah, you can just like leave it clean. Okay, but like I said, you just want to make sure that you are brutally honest, right? Because this is where you will be able to make the most amount of progress when you actually just stare at your inadequacy and just think about solutions to overcome your shortcomings. And then over here, this is where you can take your emotion, right? So about the emotion, in the trading panel, we have a feature, right? So example, right after you enter for a trade over here, what happens is that there will be this emotion pop-up model right here that appears right after you trade, just to ask you what emotion drove this entry, right? So let's say calm. And then this is your entry emotion, right? This entry emotion will be tagged into your trading journal. And then once you close the position itself, there will also be another model just like this, asking you how do you feel after you got out of the trade, right? And this emotion here will be tagged into your exit emotion, right? So whatever emotion that you have selected while you're trading, like I said, it will automatically be imported in here, okay? So yeah, let's say in this case, since I didn't, select my emotion while I was in this position itself, I just gonna manually choose it right now in retrospect, right? So I can put calm, disappointed, whatever it is, just put the emotion there. Okay, so once that's done, this is the fun part, and that is reflecting on the trade itself. So when it comes to reflecting the trade, you can either type out your reflection manually just like this, or you can record like a little voice thing, which will then transcribe what you are saying into text. So this way, you don't even have to like do the journal itself, right? Let me just show you how this works. Okay, you can see like it literally just transcribed what I just said. Okay, so today I entered for a trade on Euro USD, and I actually made the mistake of being too impatient. I rushed into the trade without following my trade plan. Okay, you can see just an example right there. What happens is that it transcribes what I said into text, right? So this way, if on some days where you don't feel like manually typing stuff because you just encounter a bunch of losses, you can just speak to it like a freaking human, and then it will transcribe what you have said to it. All right, so when it comes to reflection, there are two ways that I actually reflect based on my trading results. When I'm green, when I make money, this is where I'm asking myself, okay, did I actually follow my trade plan or did I get lucky? And if I did follow my trade plan, which part of the process was clean, right? What worked? Okay, like is it because the point of interest was marked up properly? Is it because my bias was correct? And then I also ask myself, did I leave money on the table or did I manage the position well? Right, and this is where I really just go and look at how I managed the trade, right? Did I cut the profits early because I was scared that price is going to reverse? Did I take partial profit? Did I move my stop loss way too soon? And then last but not least, I ask myself, how can I repeat this win again next time? Okay, like what are the things that I can do more of in the future so that I can repeat a win just like this? That's the scenario if I win. If I'm green, if I make money, cool. Very fun, right? It's fun to journal when you're making money. The other scenario is when I lose money, when I'm red. The first question I ask myself after I lost a trade is, was it a good loss or a bad loss? Because a good loss is one in which I followed my plan and I still lose. That's part of trading, right? That's just variance, right? That's just, the probabilistic nature of trading. You can't escape good losses. But if it's a bad loss, that's alarming, because a bad loss is a loss that I incurred as a result of neglecting my trading plan. Once again, that's alarming, right? Because that just says that I haven't been disciplined on this trade itself. Let me go and investigate what went wrong. Like, did I let emotions cloud my judgment? Okay, if that's the case, I can go and look what was my emotion at entry, what was my emotion at exit. And then based on that, I can develop a hypothesis, right? Okay, saying that because I was angry when I was entering the trade, it caused me to actually neglect my trade plan. And now I'm just trading the market because I want to get back the money that I've lost. And that resulted in this loss. So the next time around, when I actually feel this exact same emotion, maybe I should calm myself down. Maybe I should, meditate before I actually get back into the market. I also ask myself, okay, what caused the loss itself, right? Like, did I not follow my trade plan? Was it timing? Was it anticipation? Was it emotion? Whatever it is, identify the root cause and try to fix it next time round. Okay, what guardrail can prevent this exact mistake? What rule change do I need to do to combat this mistake in the future, right? To prevent myself from repeating the same mistake again. Okay, so yeah, basically just remember that a good trade is not necessarily a profitable one. A good trade is one in which you executed according to your trading plan, especially when you didn't feel like it. So just because you make money doesn't mean it's good. Just because you lost money doesn't mean it's bad. Execution is what we are grading here. We don't define our performance, our self-worth by our P&L. No, we define it by our ability to execute the trading system, by our desire to becoming a skilled trader. So once you're done with everything, right? Let's say you put a bunch of journal in here. There's no save button because it's auto save. You can see right here, it's auto save, right? So you can just leave the journal itself. Or if you want, you can just continue journaling the next trade by pressing this button right here. And then boom, you'll go on to the next trade. And then this is where you can journal the previous trade, the next trade, so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's what you can potentially do in here. And then this allows you to just journal trades back to back without ever leaving the page itself. And also there's this function that allows you to share a trade right here, right? You can use this for feedback. You can use this for accountability. You can share it with your coach, share it with your trading partner. You can share it with your community. Make sure that you only share it after you have journaled it though, so that the context is much more complete. But yeah, that's the whole point of the trading journal. Remember, you're not doing this to feel productive. You are doing this to get dangerous. Every trade you journal becomes feedback. Every mistake you take becomes a pattern. And every pattern you fix becomes profit over time. So do not be that trader who keeps paying the market tuition for the same lesson again and again. Close the loop after every session. Break the cycle. Break the vicious cycle of unprofitability. And your future self is going to thank you for it.